and we'll get started this evening if you're ready, Alice and Dave.
Yep, ready.
Yes, ready.
Brilliant. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome today to this live IntelliCorp hosted webinar. The topic today for us is how to prepare for an SAP HANA upgrade faster and safer using IntelliCorp's smart software. Software we're going to explore on the call a little bit later. So my name is Emma Dowie. I'm a marketing manager at IntelliCorp. With me on the call today is Dave Pickrell. He's our Director of Partner Business Development, and Alison Denning, who is our Senior Application Engineer. So Alison and Dave are both based in the States, and I'm in the UK. So just a couple of housekeeping points before we get started. All the lines are muted, as you'd expect. So if there are any questions, then please submit them to me in the chat panel. We'll try and get through as many questions as we can, depending on time. And if we don't get to your question, then we will follow up with you via email afterwards. Also, we'll give our email addresses at the end too. So if you have any questions afterwards that you want to ask or you didn't get around to asking on the call, then please send us a message. We'll record the session as well and send that out in an email too, so you'll get everything sent to you after the session. And with that, Dave, I'm going to hand it over to you. So let me move the little presentable. You should see that coming over now.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Emma. And good evening, good morning, good afternoon to you wherever you are in the world. The SAP migration to HANA is moving forward with an increasing level of speed. At least that's what we're seeing in the market, and that's what our customers are telling us. Whether you're migrating because it's time to revisit your entire SAP implementation, or whether you're simply doing a technical database upgrade to move and get the value of the HANA database, or whether you're trying to simplify the business processes. You may be consolidating, etc. We're all moving with an increasing level of speed, and moving to HANA is a significant challenge in the market. And for all of us, there are really only two directions. Either Business Suite on HANA, which means I'm taking my existing ECC system, I'm upgrading it to the HANA database, and continuing to move forward with all the modifications, etc., that are in my HANA system. Or I'm planning a new implementation. I'm going to migrate to S4 HANA. The functionality in S4 HANA is more than adequate to cover my business practices. So we will talk today about both of those strategies, whether you're doing a new implementation or you're choosing to upgrade and optimize. And we have customers from both of those patterns of migrations. We've got customers that started several years ago to do their migration to HANA or to S4 HANA. Just want to share a couple of those with you to give you some sense of the diversity of the decision that you are looking at. So in this case, customer running multiple production instances, 10 production instances, their view of the world when they started their implementation was customized first as their approach. So huge numbers of customizations. What they wanted to accomplish was a degree of standardization and move back to standardized SAP processes. And what they found, because they also had no appetite to consolidate those instances over time, is that their best approach was the S4 HANA approach. It had plenty of functionality to cover all of their sets of capability requirements, and they needed to standardize and simplify. So in this case, they utilized LiveCompare and LiveModel to move forward. We'll talk about those products in a moment. Alternately, different customer, very powerful business owners had no appetite for consolidation, running 4 instances of SAP. And what they determined is that their best approach was to upgrade to the HANA database and essentially choose the Business Suite on HANA approach and annihilate all customizations. Or unused customizations, sorry. So one of the capabilities that LiveCompare has, we'll talk more about this, is to help you understand very specifically what of your customizations are being used and what are not. And also we can give you an ability to create additional optimizations. So what are the IntelliCorp products? LiveModel. LiveModel is a business process modeling capability, very easy and simple to use, often described as Visio on steroids. It's a very powerful modeling capability and comes pre-built with SAP standard business processes. LiveCompare. LiveCompare, our flagship product, has the ability to understand any of the underlying technical issues in your SAP system, to investigate them, to bring forth everything from who's using roles, profiles, etc., to what code is being used, validation of data, etc. And then Live Interface. Live Interface is a very easy to use, low-cost EAI solution for migrating data, not only from your existing SAP environment to S4 HANA, but also from non-SAP systems to HANA, and from HANA to non-SAP systems. We'll talk more about that a little later in the discussion. So where are you today? Actually, you may be in the middle of a migration. You may already started, you may be facing realization, you may be facing testing, and you're concerned about some of those issues. LiveCompare and the IntelliCorp LiveModel LiveCompare and the IntelliCorp products can help you in any phase of this project. So if you're already started with your migration, please understand we'd be more than happy to talk to you about how we can support you. If you haven't started, where are you today? You're at the very front end. The first question you have to help yourself answer is, am I going to Business Suite on HANA or am I going to S4 HANA? Many of those issues are business issues. However, LiveCompare and LiveModel can give you all of the data that you need to make an informed, fact-based decision in your migration strategy. So let's talk about these pillars that we have to break through, the walls we have to break through. First and probably largest is development. Custom code, what is going to break? What of my code is being unused and can be retired? Is there custom code that's being heavily used that even if I do an S4 implementation, I'm going to have to, if not move the exact code, I'm going to have to move that process? Can I optimize my custom code so that it'll run faster on SAP? As you look at these things, and as we've looked at all these issues with our customers, we find that there's a significant level of work that has to be done in moving to the HANA database and moving this code. So we have done a substantial amount of work around a specific area in this migration. We call this set of functionality Fix My Code. This will be in the IntelliCorp LiveCompare release that releases at the end of July. It's version 3.7. We are very excited about this version because not only are we increasing the level of discovery, the implementation of all the rules that are violated by during a migration to HANA, we're also giving you all of the data by object type just to help you prepare and plan and focus your migration. And what we've discovered in this entire analysis of multiple customer sets of data as they migrate to HANA is when you look at the rule set, and Allison will spend a little bit of time with you in the demo in a very specifically around the rules, we find that a high percentage of the areas that need to be fixed are actually in one rule set. This is an obsolete ABAP variable declaration of like, and in the general of what we're seeing is an 80+% of the issues that need to be fixed are in this are with this statement. So IntelliCorp has developed the appropriate transformation, not only the appropriate discovery, but the appropriate transformations so that this code is automatically fixed for this rule set. So just to recap, the Fix My Code functionality is a highly accurate detection of the broken code. Allison will talk more about this in the demo, but you will see the like function across many different areas within the SAP code. There's a specific set of this capability that has to be fixed, not every place where the like verb occurs. Then that broken code has to be transformed, and that is Fix My Code. Again, it's in the 3.7 release of LiveCompare that comes out at the end of July. There are a lot of other areas in SAP that this migration is going to affect. LiveCompare has the answers. We're going to do all of the analysis that helps you understand what roles and profiles are impacted. Is your code secure? Is the custom code secure? Are the authorization checks appropriate? We'll also give you all of the data to help you with the segregation of duty violations. You'll find LiveCompare will produce substantial amounts of data and information that help you verify that in this migration you're not breaking your segregation of duty roles. Integration, major challenge in any SAP environment. What systems am I integrated with? What systems are feeding my SAP system, and are the changes that we're making going to impact those interfaces? Call transactions, BAPIs, BDCs, IDOCs, which of those are going to impact it and which are those going to be changed? Our training groups must have a heads up on what changes are happening and what things need to be rebuilt for the training. Also, who needs to be trained? Of the user community, what are those T codes that are changing? Who are those users of those T codes, and who do we have to retrain as we do this migration to HANA? Again, all this information is available to you before you begin to make the transition to HANA so that you can do all of the preparation, planning, and analysis that's needed. Very challenging area, testing. What is at risk? What are the most often used objects? What objects need to be tested? Do we have test cases that cover those objects? We'll look to Allison will spend more time in this area talking about a construct we call most at risk. This is the ability to identify the objects that must be tested based on use and impact from the change. Do I have tests? If I'm looking in the HP ALM platform for the test, if I don't have tests, what are the gaps? So again, whether I'm in the middle of migration and I need this information today, or I'm at the front of the journey and I need to forecast and plan resources and coverage, LiveCompare has the answers to support these decisions. One of the areas that you will also have issues is in data validation. You will find that as I do the migration, oftentimes data can be corrupted, etc. But with LiveCompare, I can validate that data that's moving from the existing ECC system to the HANA database can all be validated. I can also verify that any data moving from non-SAP systems to SAP is validated. A couple of kind of unique business cases and customers here. If you're familiar with Hershey's and the Hershey Kiss, Hershey's uses LiveCompare to validate their data from their systems of record, meaning their SAP systems, to the manufacturing platform and the manufacturing system. So LiveCompare is utilized to ensure that the quality of the Hershey's Kiss is always the same. We also have customers, retail customers, that utilize LiveCompare to validate that product data from the system of record, in this case SAP, is consistent and accurate with the point of sale systems, so that any product that is in the system of record can be sold in the point of sale system. And with that, I'm going to take the opportunity to turn it over to Allison and let her begin with the demonstration. Allison?
Okay, thanks, Dave. Let's go ahead and take a look at how you'd get to the information we've been talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and share my desktop with you guys. And LiveCompare is an app-based product that reaches out to your SAP system through a friendly user front end. So you can see here some of the apps that we have. The Upgrade Assessor is the app that we have run to get to the information around upgrading to HANA. So even though it's called the Upgrade app, it can actually be used at any time during your migration to HANA. So other parts of LiveCompare can be used daily in your SAP lifecycle events, but we'll have to save those topics for another discussion. So this is the Upgrade app, and if we open this up, you can see that what you're putting in to run this upgrade assessment is your as-is and your to-be system here, and then running it down here at the bottom. So pretty simple setup. It's an easy way to go out and run that assessment that we've talked about. This is a cloud-based offering or an on-prem offering. So we'll talk a little bit more about this as we go through the demo. And as we talk about the 2B system being your HANA system, if you don't have a HANA system on site, IntelliCorp can provide you that 2B system as well. So let's go back and look at some of the results here. So as we open up the upgrade assessment, the first thing that you'll see is the dashboard. So each one of these quadrants represents a different data set, and you can start to see some of the things that are being analyzed. So taking a look at this first piece, the standard versus custom, how much standard code are you using versus your custom? How much used versus unused custom code do you have right here? So this is a great opportunity to identify that unused custom code in your system and start cleaning that up. And then you can see over here on the far right-hand side of your screen, the used versus impacted custom code. One thing that LiveCompare does really well in all of its analysis is helps you take into account your usage information so that the analysis is always focusing on what's most important to you and your use of SAP. So some of the other pieces in the quadrant that you're seeing here, the good, bad, and the ugly, being able to go out and look at the complexity of your custom objects on your system, and we'll talk more about this when we show you the backup detail. And then the custom code quality, being able to go out and scan all of your custom objects and look at different categories that you can see across the bottom here that each hold a set of rules in them where we're going out and scanning your code for particular issues and then presenting that material back to you. And then down here at the bottom, you can see some things like impacted interfaces, where Dave was talking earlier about the integration piece with other systems. So giving you an idea of where your standard and custom iDocs are going to be impacted. And then we'll talk a little bit about this new versus deleted profiles piece right here. How many profiles have been added, or how many authorizations have been added or deleted from the profiles that you have on your system. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at, you can see the details down here below. We're going to go ahead and start with the development report. And if I open up the development report for you here, you can start to see some of the different tabs across the bottom, and we'll cover a few of these. So it starts off with the used, all of your used transactions and programs, both standard and custom, that you're using on your production system today, and then any unused code that you have on that system. So unused custom code is an unnecessary cost in your SAP upgrade. So this is a great time to be able to go out and take a look at this code that hasn't been used and make an effort to clean that up. The impacted top-down, this is showing you your custom code that's going to be impacted from the HANA upgrade. The object type and here, you have standard objects that are changing that are going to impact your custom transactions and programs. What's nice about this report right here is that it has a hyperlink out to that code. So you can click on that hyperlink and it'll bring up the side-by-side code changes that SAP has made. So being able to see this can help the developers further optimize this phase of the project. And so as we kind of click through here, you can start to see some of the differences highlighted. And one thing to make note of here is that LiveCompare has smart impact analysis. So if SAP changes a comment, we don't mark your custom code as impacted. And this is something that is unique to IntelliCorp's LiveCompare. Next up, we have impacted smart forms. So being able to identify any smart forms that are going to be impacted by your upgrade to HANA. And then the category down here at the bottom for the BDCs. Any call transactions. And so looking at these objects, you can start to see for this particular function that on line number 389, you can see the piece of code where it's calling transaction XK01. So this is a great way to be able to go out and identify where those call transactions are. The next category we have is complexity. And complexity goes out and scans your custom objects to show how complex the ABAP code is. And complexity is just a measure of the number of executable pathways in each one of these objects that you're seeing here. So if we go out and take a look at the complexity description here, 0 to 10 of those executable pathways is considered good, 11 to 15 is bad, and then anything more than 16 of these executable pathways is considered to be ugly. So the ranges for our complexity measurement came right from an SAP authored white paper titled Developing Modern ABAP Applications. So what can you do with this spreadsheet? One of the things that you can do is go out and look at just the most complex ABAP objects that you have in your system and look at making some performance improvements here. So you can see those right up there at the top. So a lot of executable pathways in those. So as we keep going over to the right along the bottom and our different categories, the next one up is HANA, obviously very important. This spreadsheet reports on the custom objects on the as-is system and performs a quality analysis of their associated ABAP code. And again, you can see the rule that's found, you can see the token that's being used, and then the line number and the source of where you can find that particular rule violation. And it's important to note here that each HANA rule violation is included in the upgrade analysis. So the list is complete for you to be able to go out and identify any code in your ECC system that is not going to be HANA compliant. So this really takes the guesswork out of trying to understand what code is going to need to be changed. You can get a feel for that just by looking at this report. Next up, the ABAP objects, just identifying issues that relate to ABAP objects in particular. And again, you can see the rule violation here and their token. And then again, we provide the line number and the source for that code. Any errors? This category is identifying runtime errors, and you can see some of those as well. We also looking at ABAP failures. So you can see some of the rules right here and some of the tokens that we're looking for. This is a lot of the break and breakpoint. So being able to go out and identify in your system where you're using some of those older pieces of code. So this is all great information. As we round out the end of the development report, you can start to see the SPUD and SPOW tabs as well, showing you all of those SPUD and SPOW objects that are going to be impacted as you're doing your upgrade. But what can you do with all of this technical information? So one of the things that Dave stated earlier was we have a new app in the product, and it's called Fix My Code. And let's go out and take a look at that one. Okay, so Fix My Code is a new app. It's coming out at the end of July in the 3.7 release. And if we go ahead and open up the app here, you can see that what you're doing is putting in an analysis system and running it down here at the bottom. You can distribute your results to anybody that you choose. And then let's go out and take a look at what the results look like. So it starts off with a dashboard to show you the objects that are being impacted. And then if we go out to the actual report, you can get a feel for what we're transforming as far as your code goes. So we knew the ability to go out and identify the code that needs to be changed couldn't be based on looking for a keyword. It needed to be smarter than that, or we would just be changing code that didn't need to be changed. So if we went out and looked at just the like statement, that wasn't going to be enough. So we focus on one rule. It's the obsolete ABAP variable declaration using the like token. And we go out and look for that like token that's followed by a data dictionary element. So you can see this one right here, like TSTC or like syst. And you can see over here on the right-hand side that we're transforming that to T1 type TSTC or S1 type syst. You can see a couple examples of things down at the bottom that would not need to be changed. For instance, this one right here where it has like num rows. Changing that code is not going to be helpful. This does not need to be changed when you go to HANA. So Fix My Code had to be smart enough to know which pieces of code to change. And knowing that this particular rule is highly used, having this functionality to transform your code into HANA compliant code is a great new addition to LiveCompare. And we'll be adding more of these rules to Fix My Code in the near future. Okay, so let's talk security. One of the dashboard quadrants here, the new versus deleted profiles. Let's take a look at what the data behind that is. So this security report goes out and looks at any new or deleted authorizations, and it shows the profile and the role that's associated to these auth objects. And you know that these are going to have to be adjusted to meet the customer's security requirements. So we call those out. You can see in the status column right here if something was removed or maybe it's something that's new. But this is something that is very beneficial to the security folks. Commonly, we experience during an upgrade giving everyone SAP all and SAP new just to get through testing and then fix the issues post go live. But with LiveCompare, you have that information up front. You can do this before the testing begins and have a faster and safer go live with a reduced backlog. So this is a very important report, the security piece. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at the technical side of going to HANA, how can we help identify what needs to be tested? So this is one of our favorite topics that IntelliCorp is helping you understand what is going to be impacted and what needs to be tested. IntelliCorp's LiveCompare Smart Impact Analysis goes out and identifies the most at risk executables that need to be tested in order to cover all of the impacted objects on your system. So this report right here gives you the transaction code and the programs that are recommended for testing. These are the most at risk, and these will cover all of the changing objects. You can see that we pulled in the screen if we can, and we have some information like usage so that you understand what is the most used transactions that are in your testing set. So let's take an example here. Let's look at this FB01. I have it highlighted right here. So the reason why we're suggesting that you go out and test this FB01 transaction is because SAP has gone out and changed these standard functions, classes, etc. And these all are a part of FB01. So you can see we've given you the screen here, and then we've also given you the volume that's being used for that particular transaction. And again, you can see the hyperlink over here to the side so that if somebody wants to see exactly what SAP has changed, you can go out and look at that code. You can look at that code side by side. So now that we've identified what to test, LiveCompare integrates with several testing applications, including HPALM, to help you determine if you have a test that can be used for the executables that we have listed here. So if we go over here and click on the test hits and gaps, this is identifying if a test could be found in your testing repository. So we have a lot of gaps here, but we do have a hit as well. If we look at our example, FB01 right here, you can see that it's a gap. We gave you the usage so that you can see that that's a highly used transaction. This is something that's going to need a test created for it. And you can see over here at the end there were no tests created for that particular one. And then if we look at the one below it, V_V2, it was a hit, so we found a test case for it. There was 119 dialogue steps against it, and we found 4 test cases for this particular transaction. And then we'll show you those test hit details as well. But on the gaps right here, the hits are obviously great, but the gaps are just as important. And the gaps allow you to focus on creating tests that are needed for this life cycle event right here, instead of trying to go out and create a test for everything. So the gaps are a really important piece of this because almost everybody is going to have a few tests that need to be created. And then as we show the test hit details here, if we continue on with our example, let's go out and look at our V_V2. And you can see those 4 tests that were brought in, the test plan path, the token, its usage, and then the user as well. So we've identified technical information that can help you with the upgrade. We've taken you through determining what will need to be tested here. Now let's pull in the business process owners. So LiveModel, as Dave was talking about earlier, is our business process modeling tool, and it's pre-populated with business processes. It allows for customers to go out and customize the models so that it reflects exactly what's running in your business today. And the model itself integrates with the technical information from LiveCompare, so it really nicely pulls everything together. You can see from this piece of LiveModel right here, the left-hand side is the hierarchy, the right-hand side is showing all of the business processes. The ones that are in color are in scope. You can see a couple that are left out that are grayed out. These are not being used. They're out of scope. And then we can pull in the LiveCompare information and show what processes are going to be impacted and then which of those processes have tests created that can be used to support that testing effort. So if the red circles show the impacted processes, so you can see all of those. And the diamonds are showing where there's a couple areas where there's some gaps in the test coverage, and these will need to be addressed. But this just brings full circle the impact to your system all the way from the technical side and then pulling it right back into the business processes. So with that, Dave, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Allison. So as you've seen from the demonstration, that we provide a substantial amount of data, and for some reason, Emma, I'm having trouble advancing the slide.
Okay, let me have a look. Yeah, I think it's still on.
Thank you.
Allison, have you got it?
Yes, thank you. So as you're moving through your journey of SAP HANA, I really wanted to reiterate one more time, whether you're at the beginning of your journey and trying to assess which direction you're going to proceed, whether it's Business Suite on HANA or S4 HANA. IntelliCorp has products and capabilities there and throughout any of your implementation. So whether you're at the very end and you need to do data validation, we've talked about that, testing, verifying all of the development, you are in great shape, and LiveCompare and LiveModel can easily support you and deliver additional sets of functionality. Just to summarize, there are capabilities today deliver you substantial savings. We repeat it, we always have customers delivering 30 to 40% savings and even higher, going faster, much less risk, and zero defects. In fact, one of our customers recently deployed upgrades, actually the last 8 years of support packs, 1.2 million objects with zero defects to their environment over the weekend. So I want you to get a perspective that LiveCompare, LiveModel produces savings, speed, zero risk, and zero defects. We do have an opportunity for a free HANA assessment. If you're at that beginning stage trying to decide whether to go to Business Suite on HANA or S4 HANA, and as Allison said, whether it's from our cloud-based solution or on-prem based solution, we are going to be doing a drawing and we'll notify you of the winner at the end of after the presentation. With that, Emma, do we have questions that we need to answer from the audience? I think we're running right up to the time, but I will happy to take a few questions.
Thanks,
as well.
Dave. Yeah, we've had a couple come through. Yeah. So if you have any further questions, please remember to send them over. If we don't get a chance to get through to everybody's question, then we will follow up with you. So a couple here, Dave. When can we expect to see other rules added to the Fix My Code report?
We will continue to, so the discovery rules, we identify in general all of the sets of capabilities. We will be adding precision to other rules throughout the course of new releases of LiveCompare over the next time frame, next several months.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dave. One question I have is, how long does the assessment take to complete?
As a general rule, it's about 24 hours. We have, if we're doing it as a cloud-based approach, we'll extract your custom code, we'll upload it to our cloud, we'll compare that to either a ECC 6 EHP8 environment or an S4 HANA environment or both, and produce back the results for you in essentially 24 hours.
Okay, thanks, Dave. So another question, is this an ECC product only, or can we support BW?
We can support all of the modules. Yes, we can support BW. We can support all of the SAP modules.
Okay. And one question about custom code development. So this might be a question for Alison, but we spoke about checking if the code is secure. So can we go into more detail about which checks are performed to check the security aspect of the code? So perhaps a little bit more detail there.
Yes, there are additional workflows in LiveCompare that can help you with looking at that code.
Okay, thanks, Alison.
And that may be a follow-up question that we want us to schedule a more detailed technical discussion.
Yeah, no, that's great, Dave. Thank you. Yeah, we're pretty much out of time now, and I've got quite a few questions coming through. So just one more. Can LiveCompare help us make a decision as to whether we should move to Suite on HANA or S/4HANA?
What LiveCompare can do is provide you with all of the data so you can make a fact-based decision. As we saw from some of the early case studies that we talked about, these decisions involve the business as well as IT. And so my belief is that with factual information, it will be much easier for you to make the appropriate and right decision for your company. So lots of issues that drive that decision, we provide the backup and the factual information to help you make a good decision.
That's great. Thank you. Dave, Alison, thanks very much for your time today. Everybody, we're just out of time now. So I've put the email addresses up on the screen for Dave, Alison, and myself at the website as well. We're on all the social media channels. But if we didn't get to your question, then we will follow up with you after the session via email. We will send out the recording to you, and you can get a copy of the slides as well. So anything you need, please get in touch. Let us know. I know we haven't had much time today, really. There's so much more to discuss and go into. But anything you need, any questions, then please let us know. Dave, Alison, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, audience.
Thank you, Emma.
I'll leave this open for a couple more minutes so you can take down any email addresses that you need, and then I'll close it in a couple of minutes. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a great day.